As you may know, Doc is a Chicago Bears fan, and at the beginning of the season, and for his birthday, I made a Chicago Bears peanut butter cookie cake. Today, I'm gonna try it again with a new and improved recipe. Oh crap, this pan's too big. I gotta find a different pan. This video is not what I originally intended it to be. I was going to use original audio, and then I realized that the whole darn thing was an hour and 20 minutes long, and I don't think anybody wants to listen to me talk that long. Now, my original peanut butter cookie cake was used from a mix. It was okay, but it was way too rich and way too oily. So I experimented in the meantime by creating a recipe from scratch, and we're going to see how that goes today. So let's get into it. First, we are going to whisk together 1 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Now grab a large bowl, or if you're using a stand mixer, use one of those bowls, and you're going to put in 1 full stick of butter. That is 1/2 cup of butter, 1/4 pound of butter. You can use salted or unsalted butter. If you're using unsalted butter, you're going to want to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt at this stage. Add 1/2 cup of brown sugar and 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar. And you're going to cream all that together using a hand mixer, a stand mixer, or you can do it the old-fashioned way using the back of a spoon. Now we're going to add and mix in 2 large eggs, 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of white vinegar, 3/4 of a cup of creamy peanut butter, 1 tablespoon of a neutral type of oil. If you are using a natural peanut butter, there's enough oil in it. You're going to leave out that extra vegetable oil. Add your dry ingredients and 1/4 cup of milk. Start with a 1/4 cup of milk. And right here is where my battery ran out. So I'm just going to have to freeze frame here and talk you through the parts you missed. So I said you start by adding a 1/4 cup of milk. And you mix that in. You're looking for a batter that is kind of the consistency of a stiff frosting, or I guess a brownie. A brownie batter would be very comparable. It's thinner than cookie dough and thicker than your normal cake batter. A 1/4 cup of milk might not do it. If you need to add more, add it only about a splash, maybe a teaspoon at a time, until you get the right consistency. Now, if you're wanting something a little lighter and fluffier, you can substitute 1/2 and 1/2 instead of milk. And the other thing you missed is adding your candy chips. You can use any type of candy chip you like. You can add peanut butter chips, milk chocolate chips, semi-sweet chocolate chips, or in my case, I added butterscotch. You're going to fold that in using a spatula. How much? Well, that's kind of up to you. I used about 1/2 a bag, which is 5 to 6 ounces. Then put the whole bowl in the refrigerator while you prepare the pans and the oven. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and line your baking dish with parchment paper. A standard cookie sheet works well for this recipe, but if you want to do something special like I am and using shaped pans, you can do that too. Baking time will be different based on the type of baking pan that you use. In my previous experiments with this recipe, I was trying to make a thick, more cake-like cookie. and it just didn't turn out right. It took a long time to bake, and then as it cooled, the center would collapse. So my recommendation for the cookie cakes is that you go with thin layers, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch thick, no more than 1/4 inch. When you start getting into the 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch mark, you're going to end up with a sunken middle, and it's just not going to bake right. So multiple thin layers seems to be better than a single thick cookie. So spread your dough into your pans between 1/8 and 1/4 inch thick. If your pan has edges, like the small oval that I will be using as a football shape, you can push the dough all the way to the edge. If you are using a baking sheet, you will want to spread the dough, leaving at least a 1/2 inch around the edges to allow the dough to spread as it bakes. Oh crap, this pan's too big. I gotta find a different pan. And here's a pro tip for you. If you dip the utensil you're spreading with in a little bit of water, it will help the dough spread more smoothly. Now pop it in the oven and set a timer for 15 minutes. Check it after 15 minutes. The edges should be golden brown, the top starting to crack slightly, and a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. If you are doing multiple pans at the same time, chances are it's not done. If it needs a little more time, turn your pans, especially if you have an oven with hot spots, and put it back in for a few more minutes. I swapped my pans at the 15-minute mark and added another 7, so these took a total of 21 minutes to bake. If you are going to try a single layer that is thicker than 1/4 inch, then your cooking time will be completely different. You're going to want to drop that temperature down to 300 degrees, let it go for at least half an hour, and then you're going to be adding in 5 to 10 minute increments until it's done. My first attempt with this recipe was about 1.5 inches thick, and it took about 2 hours to completely bake. I really don't recommend trying to do it that way. All that's left to do now is assemble your cake and decorate it. How you want to do it is completely up to you. I am using a whipped white store-bought icing, and we are going Chicago Bears themed. I made this cake the night before and covered it overnight. So here we are, approximately 3 hours before kickoff. So I've got to taste this thing, finish this video, and get it uploaded before kickoff. Actually, I want it to launch in about an hour and 15 minutes. So wow, I've got some editing to do. Neither Doc nor I really want to appear on camera today, so this is going to be a behind the camera taste test. So let's go ahead and get a few cuts out of it. And let's present the pieces. I'm taking a thin piece and a double layer piece. Both of them are nice and soft. They don't crumble too much. They've got a good moisture. But the question is always, how does it taste? It has a very good texture. It's not too dry, but I do think that it needs more peanut butter. The peanut taste is getting lost behind the butterscotch chips. So in the future, I think I want to increase the peanut butter from 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup, and perhaps even add some powdered peanut butter to it. I can continue to add peanut butter, but as I add peanut butter, I'm also adding additional oil. I would need to decrease the amount of milk, so I really think that bringing in the peanut taste would best be done by adding peanut butter powder to it, which all that is dry roasted peanuts that's been ground up really, really fine. No salt added. So there you have it. I think I've perfected the texture and the process of making the peanut butter cookie cake, but we do definitely want to add a little more peanut flavor to it.